Today we have day 24 of Advent of Cyber 2021. Today's challenge is about post-exploitation and we will learn about a tool called mimikatz. So this post-exploitation is like the second last stage of a pen test. The last stage is writing a report of what exploitations you did and discovered throughout this whole process. But I don't think they will have that for Advent of Cyber. So the post-exploitation stage occurs usually after you have gained some unauthorized access to target system. During this stage, attacker does two things. First one is trying to escalate their privilege till we have the highest privilege possible by exploiting vulnerabilities on the target. We do that by trying to find any sensitive information that contain credentials or any critical vulnerability functionality that could be exploited. Another thing that we do in post exploitation is try to maintain persistence with the target's environment. So if somehow we lose the current access with the target environment, we could gain it again by a simpler method that we did previously. This is usually done by creating backdoors or adding a new user with the credentials set up by us. So we know the credentials for a new user and we can access that easily. Anyways, in today's task, we are to find a user called in today's task, if we go to our questions, they have asked us the username of other user on the system. So basically they have given us access to one of the users. Under dumping password access, you can see the username and password for that user, and the RDP is enabled on the target. So you can use the remote desktop protocol to get access to the target. I have already done that. This is the target's environment. They have a folder here called mimikatz. I will explain the working of mimikatz and authentication and hashing while making use of it. So let's go to this folder. Inside x64, you will have a application with a Kiwi logo on it, and you can open that. When you do, you will see a screen like this. I have zoomed it a little bit and maximized it, and you will see the information till here. Now these are the commands that I entered to get what I needed for this task. So now this tool is an incredible tool which was developed especially as a post-exploitation malware that can dump data from memory. Over time it has created so many features which can do so many great things in an Active Directory environment, like golden ticket attacks, skeleton ticket attacks, LSA protection workaround, and so much more. I mean, we can make an entire series of video on how to use mimikatz to do post exploitation. But in today's video, we will just try to get user credential which they asked in the question. Before executing any command in mimikatz, you have to execute this command called privilege with debug. What it basically does is give you access to the memory. You can think of it as starting an application by clicking on run as administrator. This command is compulsory for other commands that we are going to type, like this one, to work. So you can make a habit of doing privileged : debug whenever you open mimikatz. After that, the command we are using is called sec ursula, whatever we call this. I don't know how to spell it. The spelling is here, and its feature called logon passwords. So this is one of the modules of mimikatz. There are other modules that can do other important things. By this module we do many other things, but we are going to do just a basic logon password hash dumping. Now what this command does is dump the password hashes stored in LSASS process. Now this LSASS process is actually a process on Windows that makes sure that whenever you try to open an application that requires credentials constantly, this process automatically provides the credential in background so that you don't have to type username password again and again whenever you open any application that requires some resources. Now this LSASS stands for Local Security Authority Subsystem Service. What this basically do is retrieves the user credentials from a database called SAM. SAM is Security Account Manager database. Credentials in a Windows environment are stored in this database, where the passwords are stored in form of a hashes. Now the two most common hashes stored in SAM database are LAN manager and TLAN manager. The code for this is LN and the code for this is NTLM. Now what hashes are basically algorithms to create one-way hashes for password. Now when we go back here in mimikatz, after I entered this command, we have a output where it tells you a username called Emily. This is actually the username TryHackMe has asked us to find, and also the hashes for their password. It has two hashes. One of them is in NTLM and one of them is SHA-1. So NTLM is easier to crack. You can see that this is smaller than this one. So a less complicated algorithm must have been used in NTLM. TryHackMe has showed you how to crack this using a tool called John the Ripper. This is the syntax to use the command. First of all, you have to copy the hash in a hash.txt and then use this command on your Kali Linux system to find the password for the given hash. Now I don't like to use John because it's a bit slower than what I use, and what I use is Hashcat. It is the most popular tool that is used for cracking hashes. But before using any tool, what I do is go to a website called crackstation.net. I have copied both the hashes SHA-1 and NTLM here. You have to press here to prove that you are not a robot. Click on crack hashes and it will show you this output. This one is able to identify what type of hash it is. The SHA-1, it couldn't even identify the type of hash. Sometimes in result you will see the decoded form of this has the password that you are looking for, but most of the time they have basically a huge database of hashes and password. When you actually find that and download it, it is about 14 GB. So you can think of how many hashes they have. Now let's go to our hashcat. What command you will do is hashcat -m 1000 and then the hash you have found and then the location of RockU. Now I have copied RockU to my desktop, so I don't have to put the user share and all other that. Now the code for this 1000, how did I know that? For that you can go to Google and search hashcat hashes example. Click on the first link for example hashes, and after that I have pressed Command F to open the find tool. After typing NTLM, you can just click here and it will lead you to NTLM hash. Now this is example of NTLM hash and this is the hash code that you are to enter after -m option. Now after entering that, it will go through some process and finally it will find the password that is made for this hash here. If you do this in Kali Linux, it will be in color to make your focus go there directly. This is our password. We can copy that as this is the answer to one of our question. Let's go to our try hack me question and see if we have all the answers, and we do. The password for this is this and the NTLM hash is this one. Let's copy that, and the username for other user on the system was Emily. Submit. So we have completed day 24 of Advent of Cyber. I don't really know if they will have day 25 of this task or not, and if they do, I will make a video on it as well.